Hi, my name is Ayden Will. I'm from South Bend, Washington. As housing costs continue to rise across Washington, what bills or funding priorities in this legislative session are aimed at increasing affordable housing, and how do lawmakers measure whether these solutions are actually working?
Great, thanks, Aiden. As chair of the Housing Committee, this has been my focus for the last number of years. And I would say that Washington State has passed more bills to help with the affordability of housing than any other state in the country. We had a long ways to go. We were starting, I think, we were kind of behind the ball on a lot of these issues, but we've done some great work to make housing more affordable. We've legalized middle housing to make sure that all of our communities make it easier for folks to build smaller homes, to build duplexes or fourplexes, to give people that opportunity to buy something that might be a little smaller than your traditional large single family home. We've done some work on legalizing ADUs, so somebody who owns a home but wants to build an accessory dwelling unit in their backyard, maybe they want to downsize and move into that, or they can rent that out for a little extra income. We've made sure that that process is easier too. We've done permitting reform to make sure that it's the length of time it takes to get a permit can be really frustrating for people that want to build homes. So we've done a lot of those things. The other thing that we've made huge investments on over the last few years is the Housing Trust Fund, and this is money from our capital budget that goes out to communities and out to organizations that tend to be building deeply affordable housing. So you think of your Habitat for Humanity or Catholic Community Services that are building multifamily housing or even single family housing, but for folks who are really struggling. So we've invested record amounts. I think last year the number between the capital budget and the operating budget was nearly $1 billion. So the need is out there. These organizations are using the money. They're building this housing as quickly as possible. So we're seeing progress. As far as holding people accountable, we had the Housing Accountability Act passed last year, and that's to make sure that our cities are in fact following the laws that we're setting in place. Sometimes some cities are a little slow to maybe uptake that. So we have, using the Department of Commerce, they get to check in on cities and make sure that their ordinances and their zoning laws are following state law. And if they're not, they can get in a little bit of trouble. We can withhold funding. We can have some other remedies. So do have literally something called the Housing Accountability Act that we passed last year, and we're doing some more work in that space this year as well. So great question. The housing crisis is everywhere in Washington State and all over the country, really. But Washington State is taking the lead on finding affordability, and it's going to take a little while, but we're getting there. Thanks a lot.
What a great question. Thank you so much for the question. I think, I'm working on a rural ADU bill, which helps put, small housing in our rural areas. I just got that bill passed off the House floor, and it's now headed over to the Senate, one of the first bills that was voted out of the House this year. And it's a bill that I've been working on for several years, and took a couple years for that to gain traction. But I think that's important that our students who are graduating high school, graduating college, have a place where they can kind of call their own and yet not have to live in the same house as their parents or their grandparents. So that's been a good bill that is going forward this year. I think another one I worked on recently was workforce housing, which I partnered with our Skagit County commissioners up where I live, and that was a priority bill for them, and making sure that we have workforce housing, cheaper housing to help those that are new to the workforce, and making sure that the rules and regulations are in place to streamline things. And really, I think that's our job here in Olympia, is to streamline the permit process, make sure that we cut the red tape. It's getting so expensive to build housing, and all the fees that go into building housing makes it really tough. And so if we can cut the red tape, streamline the process, I think that's going to help make housing affordable. Last year on the House floor, I talked about what happened in Austin, Texas. And Austin, Texas put out 50,000 units in a 2-year period. And those 50,000 units brought down housing prices by our places for people, apartments and everything, brought it down by like 20% right away. And so I think looking at the Austin, Texas model is a good way to look, and I hope that we can use what other jurisdictions have done in a successful way. And yes, we need to have benchmarks about the things that we have invested in, getting those data points back so that we can make better, more informed decisions here in Olympia. Thank you for the question.